Welcome back, gang. I'm Zell, and it's finally time to let you guys know which one of the 58mm Swiss Army knives I choose, and maybe help you figure out which one you should choose too. So far, we've looked at the Rally, the Classic SD, the Rambler, and the Mini Champ. These are what I consider the basic versions of the 58mm Swiss Army knives, and there are lots of variations on that. Anyhow, we're going to take a quick look at these knives, and then I'll let you know which one I like. Well, gang, you probably don't need as many Swiss Army knives as I have here on the table, but I do. I tend to lose these little guys, and I don't ever want to be without my 58mm Swiss Army knife. So I've got a few, and I'm sure this isn't all of them. These are just the ones I could gather up from around the desk. So we're going to go through these real quick, kind of an overview, and we're going to start with the Rally. To me, this is the lowest model. It has a magnetic screwdriver bottle opener, our tweezers, toothpick, pin blade, flat bladed screwdriver, and nail file. These are generally the cheapest models. They generally can be bought for $10 or less. If you can find them during the holidays, you can find them for even less than that, somewhere around $7 a piece. Moving up from there, we have the Classic SD. And on the Classic SD, we exchanged that magnetic screwdriver and bottle opener for a pair of scissors. And that's the only difference between the two knives. There is no magnetic screwdriver or bottle opener on this one. To me, that pair of scissors makes this so much more useful. Those little scissors are great for everything from trimming a nail that's messed up or a hang nail, or getting things off your clothes. A loose thread on your clothes or whatever. Very, very useful knife. And for me, this is where the 58mm Swiss Army knife starts. And from there, we can move up to the Rambler. And the Rambler takes everything from the Rally and the Classic SD and puts it in one knife. A little bit thicker, marginally heavier, but you get your magnetic screwdriver and your scissors, along with your flat screwdriver and nail file and your pin blade. So this is kind of your mix of the Rally and the Classic SD. And before we go to the big boy, just want to mention that just about every one of these models will come in a Swiss light model. And what a Swiss light is an LED in one end of the scale and a switch here right under the Victorinox logo that activates it. Now that scale is a little thicker, but you get the light. This one happens to be red, and I'm not even sure if you can buy the red ones anymore. Most of the new ones come with a white LED, which for most people would definitely be nicer. And like I said, you can get that on almost any model. And moving up from that, we of course go to the Mini Champ. And the Mini Champ to me is really a Swiss Army knife. I mean, look at all these extra tools that are on it. This one even has an ink pen. Victorinox, we need that ink pen to come in black, by the way. Get on that, will you please? Thank you. And the Mini Champ is a very, very nice little knife, and it's amazing the amount of things they stuffed in this little knife. I'm not going to go over them all here today. You can look up under that little eye at the top of the video screen, and there will be links to reviews of all of these knives except for the Swiss Light, and it's not reviewed because it's just a classic SD with a red LED on it. The links will all be there. You can go and look and decide which one fits you perfectly. For now, though, we're going to kick it back out to the desk, and I'm going to tell you which one fits me perfectly. Alright guys, quick story. The Victorinox Classic SD. Whenever I was a teenager, I noticed that my dad always carried one of those little bitty classic pocket knives, like an old timer or case or charade, I'm not sure. It could have been any brand, I don't know for sure. And he also carried a tube of toothpicks and a whole bunch of little implements on him, almost all the time. So I was looking for a Christmas or birthday present, I'm not sure which one, and I saw one of these. I had never carried one, but I saw it had tweezers. It had a toothpick, and had a little knife blade, little screwdriver and nail file, and these scissors. And I thought, you know, Dad might like that. He might actually use that. So I bought him one. He kind of looked at it funny whenever he opened it up, but he used it. He stuck it in his pocket, put that old classic knife in a drawer somewhere, and a few months later, whatever the next holiday was, I opened up a package and I had one. And Dad said, "You don't even know how useful that thing is. That's probably the most useful present I have ever gotten." And whether that's true or not, I don't know. I'm sure he got a lot of useful presents, but that's what he said that day. So I stuck one of these in my pocket, and I have had one in my pocket ever since. And not always a classic SD. We're going to get to that. I have tried the Rally. Don't care for it much. You know, Phillips screwdriver, where I usually am, I can find one of those. So the Phillips screwdriver, even though it's nice to have around, it's not a necessity for me. The scissors, though, these little scissors, trimming nails if you get a hang in one, cutting little things. I mean, they are just a multitude of uses for these things, for this little set of scissors. So for a long time, I carried a classic SD every day. Lots of different colors, lots of different styles. You know, I had some, used to have a little Swatch emblem on them, and all kinds of different colors of them. But always had a classic SD. More recently, I was at a cutlery store, and I picked up a Rambler. The Rambler, there's not much weight difference, very little size difference. So I started carrying it, and I got to kind of liking it. And then somewhere around that time, I ended up with a Mini Champ as well. And I carried the Mini Champ for a while, but the Mini Champ For some of you, it may be perfect. You may need all these extra little implements on here, but I don't. I have a full-size knife on me, some sort of EDC knife, so I don't need all this extra stuff. So I put that one away, and I got the Rambler back out, and I carried it for a while and lost it. That's why it's taken so long to get this video, because just like all these little knives, this thing turned up lost. So that's why we had to wait a few weeks. But it showed back up again a day or so ago, so I put it in safekeeping so that we could make this video. But anyhow, I started carrying this one again and realized that this, for me, is probably the perfect 58mm Swiss Army knife. It has the scissors, and it has that little magnetized Phillips screwdriver and a bottle opener on it. But the SD doesn't have the Phillips screwdriver or the bottle opener. And it's just convenient, and you're not adding but just a smidgen of weight and a smidgen of width. So this is the one that, if I don't lose it, I carry. Now, I have SDs, the classic SDs. I've got a dozen or more of them. And I didn't go out and buy a dozen of them one single day. I've just collected them over the years. And whenever I saw them on sale somewhere, or saw a different color or a different design that I liked, because, you know, whenever you pick them up between 10 and 20 bucks, you know, it can kind of be an impulse purchase. But I have a lot of these, and they're important. Each and every one of them. If I can't find that Rambler whenever I get ready to leave the house, I pick up one of these, because there's no way I'm going to go through the day without this little set of tweezers. You would just not believe how useful that thing is. I don't want to be out there without that pair of scissors. And some of you may not like it for sanitary reasons, but that toothpick can be a lifesaver. And I understand the sanitary reasons, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. So that's why I have several of these, because I tend to lose these little 58mm Swiss Army knives. They end up in the wash or wherever, and they usually turn back up. But that's the deal, guys. Get yourself a 58mm Swiss Army knife. As we're talking about blades and various other things, it's not very often I'm going to tell you that you should go buy something. But whenever it comes to these little guys, go get yourself one. You can get them as cheap as 10 bucks. You know, just watch the online retailers. Somebody will have them for 10 bucks, and usually the SD sells for less than 15. It's money well spent. Really well spent. So, if you take one little shred of advice from me, go get yourself one of these. Try not to lose it. Whenever you do lose it, go buy yourself another one. And eventually you'll have a few dozen of them, and you won't ever have to be without one, because generally they turn back up. And for you, those of you that are out there carrying the Cadet along with your full-size EDC knife, I'm going to suggest you guys try one of these as well. Takes up less room in the pocket, does everything that the Cadet does, and those tweezers. Once you have a set of tweezers on you, and these little tweezers work well, you'll wonder how you ever lived without them. And just a quick note, those knives have the tweezers and the toothpick in the end of them, and you can get online or straight from Victorinox, and you can buy little bags of those things. And I generally keep some extras because they tend to get lost as well. Anyhow, guys, get yourself a 58mm Swiss Army knife. At least a classic SD, and I bet you'll like carrying it. Have a great day, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.